All right, there you go. Sorry about that. So you guys can hear me okay now, right? All right,
Yep.
Sorry about that. It like kicked me off and put me on mute for a second. So I apologize. My name is Nikki Caboose. I'm the interim CEO of South Florida Tech Hub. And I'm going to go ahead and get started just by sharing my screen. I want to share a little bit about our organization and what we do. And let me see if I can do this real quickly here. Here we go. Can everybody see my screen okay? All right, perfect. Thank you. All right, so our discussion this morning is South Florida's real estate is on fire, which I'm sure we all know. And so the conversation is to learn a little bit more about why this morning. And our panelists are Ryan Poole, the founder and CEO at RealTrade, Grant Weiss, the founder and CEO and CTO of Rockval, and Ryan Beckett, the founder of BitRealty. Our sponsor this morning is South Florida Business and Wealth, and I know we have Mark on with us this morning, so once I'm done here, I'll give him a chance to address the audience as well. And South Florida Tech Hub. So to tell you guys a little bit about who we are, our mission statement is building South Florida's Tech Hub. And how we go about doing that is we are actually a technology nonprofit, 501c6. We our region is from Miami-Dade to Martin County, and we have currently over 200 corporate members, probably about 230, 240 currently. We actually just merged with the South Florida Technology Alliance, or what was called Tech Lauderdale, just a few weeks ago. So it's a brand new, exciting announcement. So now we are the longest standing, largest and fastest growing technology nonprofit in South Florida, which is very exciting to be able to say. So a little bit again about us. These are some of our current members, of course, not all of them, but I'm sure some names that you recognize. Again, we've got some folks on with us this morning from startups like Boca Code, all the way to some of the larger companies that are maybe more recognizable, like City Furniture, Carrier, Florida Crystals, FPL. But basically, we've got anybody that's within the technology sector from startup through larger enterprise. A little bit about our membership. So I won't go into detail on this, but we do have 4 different corporate membership levels. They're at the bottom for startup companies, again, all the way to a top tier level membership that is made for enterprise level companies. And they offer different benefits from speaking opportunities, PR and communication support, different exclusive peer groups, and so on. But if anybody's interested in more information, I'd be happy to meet with you one-on-one. A little bit about our events. So our tech talks, we alternate. They're every other Monday night. We move them around the region. So we start in West Palm Beach, go to Boca, then we go to Fort Lauderdale, and then Miami. So we have them at least once a month, or I'm sorry, every other month in your county. Our community coffees, such as this morning, they are alternating with our podcasts every Tuesday morning. So every Tuesday, there's at least a community coffee or a podcast at 8 a.m. And the community coffees are always panel discussions. They could be something very technical. It could be something that's on best practices or talent attraction, retention, personal, professional development. We kind of move it around the board. Our podcasts always highlight business, technology, startup, or investment leaders. And then our lunch and learns are on Fridays from 12 to 1. Those are typically introductory level. So it could be introduction to Python. It could be something that's best practices, say best practices for Agile, or something that's personal or professional development as well. For anybody that is currently looking for a job opportunity. So on our website, which is techhubsouthflorida.org, we do have a button there that says talent. Underneath that drop-down menu there's something called a resume distributor. So if you're looking at the job board, you don't find something perfect, but you want to get your resume out to a bunch of our member companies, you actually can create a small profile, upload your resume, and once you hit submit, it goes to all of our member companies at once. It's a good, quick way to get your resume in everybody's hands. And last but not least here, so we have a very active Slack channel. We've got about 4,500 members on there currently. It's techhubsouthflorida.org/Slack, or you can actually email us, or I'm sorry, you can text us your email and actually be added to our newsletter that goes out every Monday afternoon. You can text us your email to 561-250-7206. And I am going to stop sharing my screen so I can allow Mark with South Florida Business and Wealth to tell us a little bit about what they've got going on.
Thank you, Nikki. Good morning, everybody. My name is Mark Frendlick. I'm with South Florida Business and Wealth, and we're happy to be a sponsor and to support this great organization. A little bit about our company. Our goal and our mission statement really is to help connect South Florida executives to each other. And we do it in a number of ways. And we reach about 100,000 South Florida execs every month through a monthly magazine and through our online magazine. But we do it also through a variety of different methods. We hold a monthly networking event called CEO Connects, which is kicking off back in January again. We've done some test runs so far, been very successful. We hold awards events during the year, such as the prestigious Women Awards, Diversity and Inclusion Awards, and we just held a very exciting Up-and-Comer Awards, which Nikki happened to be one of the honorees. So Nikki, congratulations again for that honor.
Thank you.
And in the coming weeks, we have our legal awards and also our C-suite Apogee Awards coming up soon. We publish a newsletter 4 times a week, providing valuable information for the business community. So I will put my email information online, and if anybody has any press releases, new product announcements, etc., please send them to me. We also have a robust portfolio of digital assets and some special features in our magazine, one of which may be of interest to the group today is we're doing something in December called Leaders in Technology. So if anybody wants to find out a little bit more about that, please reach out to me. Nikki, thanks again for having us.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And I'm sorry, because I just realized I've got, I'm trying to get everybody pinned back up here on the screen, so I apologize. I just realized it got removed somehow. Let me make sure I get everybody back up here. There we go. You guys can see Mark and Beth now, right? Oh. My apologies. I don't know what happened. All right, there we go. All right, got everybody back up there. All right, so to start the discussion this morning, I would love to kind of start with a simple question just to open up the conversation, but this one is for you, Ryan Poole. So to get the conversation started, can you tell us what exactly is real estate technology or prop tech?
Yeah, thanks, Nikki. Thanks for having us on. This is great to have the panel like this. We got some great speakers here, myself and Beckett and Grant. Yeah, no, real estate tech, it's evolving very quickly. It's, there's a lot of money coming in through a lot of different investors, and it's it's been so antiquated, real estate, for so long. Having been in the industry now for over 20 years, it's amazing how we started. Literally, when I first started with books, paper books, you had to take pictures and put them into a book, and you got them distributed literally like once every couple of weeks. And now look, with the internet and having properties online and being able to connect that way, it's been a big game changer. So yeah, prop tech is just the merging of tech and real estate, making it more efficient from how antiquated it's been. And I see a future here where it's even more so. A lot more transparency. People want the best data instantly, so I think tech's helping that immensely right now to make the best buying decisions.
Perfect. Thank you, Ryan. And actually, I realized also, just because I got thrown off by the spotlights not being there, please feel free to introduce yourself as well and tell us about your company and a little bit about you, and the same for the other panelists as well. So if you want to start, Ryan.
Yeah, thanks, Nikki. Yeah, no, so I'm the founder. My name is obviously Ryan Poole. I'm the founder of RealTrade, and RealTrade's a revolutionary real estate platform. So think a marketplace like Zillow, but with a social media component where agents can interact with one another and buyers and sellers, total transparency. And then we have a very disruptive business model. Something I'm very excited about is we're actually community owned and curated by real estate agents. So, their data, people are realizing data is very valuable. It's the oil of the 21st century, and we allow the agents to own their own data on RealTrade. So they own their own listings, and they can actually purchase and earn shares of stock in the company. So it's very revolutionary on that. So thanks,
That's
Nikki.
awesome. Thank you, Ryan. And just because I've got you next on my screen, Ryan Beckett, if you'd like to go next. You're on mute, Ryan.
Good morning. So my name's Ryan Beckett. I've been in the real estate industry for about 16, 17 years. Before that, I was a 4-year real estate major at Florida State University for undergrad. And I started doing and specializing in a very niche business in Wellington, equestrian real estate. I scaled into starting a Sotheby's franchise there, sold out of that. And then I started a company called BitRealty. I did that because most people know Bit, it represents code. So it means technology, real estate. I trademarked that in the United States and some other cooperating countries. And I try to focus more on the tech solutions for my agents. Right now I have 22, looking to scale into New York and California as well. It's a very robust industry that a lot of people feel needs and is a long time coming to be disrupted. So as cliche as it is, I've been trying to be like Wayne Gretzky and not skate to where the puck is, but where it's going. I'm blessed and humbled to have a community like Ryan Poole, who I get to participate in RealTrade some, and 1909 itself, and Palm Beach Tech, and the whole tech community, Boca Code. And I learned so much, and I'm just so thankful that Florida, who I think traditionally has been a little behind from other markets like New York and California, has really developed a robust support group, network group, and tech group. So anything that I can add of value and share my experiences, I'm literally learning as I go along. I'm doing a dissertation on the tokenization of real estate as we speak. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
That's so awesome. Thank you, Ryan. Last but not least, of course, Grant.
Awesome. Thank you, Nikki, and thank you for throwing together this panel. Great to see both the Ryans here. So my name is Grant Weiss. I'm the CEO and CTO of Rockval. We are on the commercial side of things, so office, retail, industrial, multifamily, hotel, and lodging. We have a platform that helps you find deals, analyze them, and then share them. So with colleagues, clients, things of that nature. Unlike kind of traditional commercial real estate platforms in our space, we are really geared towards the lower middle market. People entering the space, there's this term called resi-mercial, residential agents that kind of go back and forth that aren't going to spend thousands of dollars on technology. So we're really trying to bring in a new market in the commercial space, and kind of touching on what Ryan was saying with respect to the industry and kind of how this has taken off. A lot of our investors are in the industry. So they work at firms like JLL, CBRE, Cushman & Wakefield, things of that nature. And it was actually an initiative by JLL last year. So they're a traditional commercial real estate shop that wants to generate over $1 billion in revenue from their prop tech initiatives. So it's really, really changing the way that technology and commercial real estate, or just real estate in general, is being done. And that's a trajectory with Ryan Beckett was saying is we're all kind of going in the same direction. And from the investor side, they see that this is just a ripe opportunity to get involved. So really fortunate to be in South Florida and in this space as well.
Yes, for sure. That's one thing, real estate in South Florida. That's why this topic is so wonderful this morning, especially with everything that's going on right now. So thank you, Ryan Poole, for starting us out with just kind of explaining there to everybody what real estate technology or prop tech is. My next question would be to you, Grant. So why is prop tech or real estate technology, why is it such a hot topic in South Florida, especially right now in 2020, 2021? Like, why is it such an important topic?
Yeah, so it's really how competitive things are getting. If you don't have that little edge, you're going to miss out on deals. If you can't get things turned around fast enough, like we were at a NAIOP event the other day. So it's the National Association of Industrial Office Professionals, and if you have an industrial lease or space available, you have to get an LOI from your tenant within 48 hours or else it's gone. So your ability to react to market conditions is becoming not, it's traditionally like what Ryan was saying was that people used to fill out books of space and kind of show them around, show your tenant around and flip through your binder. But with the way that the amount of volume in this space is just tremendous. So Miami in this last, the 3 quarters to date has had over 2 million new leases on the office side. West Palm Beach, 1.5 million. So we're on record to surpass 2019 numbers. And the amount of new companies coming in, so like, Chewy taking up a huge chunk in Miami, Goldman Sachs moving to Palm Beach. So like you have real companies moving to this space. So your ability to kind of be that market leader with your technology is paramount to your ability to compete, essentially.
Yeah, and Ryan, if you wanted to add to that at all, just because I know Grant's talking more from the commercial side. I mean, are you seeing the exact same thing in the real estate for residential?
Is that from Ryan Beckett?
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I guess
Yeah.
both of you, yes, because you're both within that space. I'm gonna start calling you Beckett.
Perfect. I sometimes forget my first name because everyone goes by my last name anyways.
Yeah.
I'll just give my input real quick before Poole does. Yes, sure. I mean, in some ways, technology has democratized the information for real estate. And that, in my humble opinion, being in the business and seeing so many different kinds of markets and progressions in different kinds of markets, even outside of South Florida and even internationally, is that agents, like a travel agent, you can go the way of the dodo bird if you don't innovate. And when now, since you don't have the books that are delivered, the value proposition of a real estate agent has been diluted because the information that we actually work hard to get and supply, which is kind of what RealTrade and Ryan Poole's company does, that is given and syndicated to companies like Zillow and Realtor.com. So it's made a real estate agent and broker have to be extremely more on their toes, knowledgeable about specific markets, because when you had a book of listings, that was exclusive information that you as a realtor had. Now that all of that information, sales, value estimates, what's on the market, what's recently sold, all kinds of data is now out there for a public. So if you have a couple spending every night looking for their dream home to raise their family in, and you're a realtor and you're saying, I do Palm Beach County, Florida, for example, I don't care how good of a realtor you are, it's going to be hard to know how much every home on that specific street sold, price per square foot, and what's going on. Mm-hmm. So with technology, to Grant's point, you got to step up your game. And if you don't innovate and progress, then our value proposition gets diluted. So at the very least, our commissions get compressed. If not, iBuyers, realtors, like I said, just not really being needed anymore. So companies like RealTrade, companies like BitRealty are trying to figure out how it's a win-win, not to just huddle up and protect our industry, but make it a two-way street and make it better for the consumer, the realtors, the brokers, and everyone at large.
Poole, did you have anything you wanted to add there?
No, I definitely echo those points of how tech, I mean, consumers becoming smarter. They want the best data. They want all the information everybody has. So, that's something I think the transparency in the industry is, as far as tech bringing, is bringing a revolution. We're at RealTrade opening doors 100% transparent to Beckett's point, and then we obviously innovate on the business model. So it's exciting. We're at a time here in South Florida where technology now is, look at Tech Hub South Florida, look what we're doing right now. We're becoming a focal point in the whole country down here in South Florida. And obviously we're the epicenter here for real estate too, as well. So it's a great merger right now and a great time for tech and real estate.
Well, I love the fact that Beckett, you just called us all smarter, and Poole, you did as well. But I think it's just that we've got more data accessible to us. But yes, I think what you guys are doing, Poole, especially with RealTrade, you guys, I mean, you're changing the market totally and the business model of it. So we'll talk a little bit more about that and some future questions here. But I wanted to address this question to you, Beckett. So with just prop tech investments, we're expected to be at an all-time high, right, in 2020. And of course, nobody knew the pandemic was going to come and ruin that. So I know that in 2020, the investments kind of took a plummet throughout that year. But if I'm correct, I believe that, in Q1 of that year, we saw some of the highest investments until we saw in Q4, investments like with Reef. I think they got $700 or $800 million in Q4 of 2020 from, and part of that funding came from SoftBank, which is also now in South Florida. So how do you think that the pandemic changed the way people think about using technology in real estate? And obviously we saw even in the middle of a pandemic that the investments, they plummeted and went straight back up. What are you thinking that we're going to start seeing for future investments in prop tech?
So it's not only because I'm doing my dissertation on this, but it's the tokenization of real estate. I'm up in Boston now. I was in New York City before, looking at some real estate transaction and deals I'm working on. And New York City and LA are doing tokenization of real estate. I was walking around in Penn Station. The amount of advertisements I saw for new technology companies as it relates to prop tech for things like tokenization, NFTs, for a ton of things, including art and fractionalized ownership. The pandemic, I think, made people stop and think about things. And I think we became even more dependent on technology. A lot of my showings I did virtually from Zoom. Mm-hmm. That never happened. Well, maybe once in a blue moon before the pandemic. QR codes were done. No one used QR codes. I thought it was cool back 5 years ago. I was going to try and put a QR code on my real estate sign where they could get the MLS and the whole thing. And now everyone uses QR codes, even when they're walking in to get a menu at a restaurant. So the familiarization and how people became comfortable with using tech to make such a big decision, or help them at least make such a decision, was huge. But I'll go back to the tokenization. I think that's something that people will hear more and more about. The industry is only in the second inning, if that. So there's a lot of things that admittedly really need to be figured out, but people that are way smarter than I am, that are deep in the trenches with this, are predicting some amazing changes as it relates to fractionalized ownership in other prop tech companies.
That's huge. Ryan or Grant, did you have anything you wanted to add there as well?
Yeah, so it's with respect to the technology, and I agree with everything that Beckett's saying. Essentially, it's kind of COVID has increased the velocity in which these changes are taking place. So I actually, never seen QR codes. It's funny that you said that, Beckett, because you have these conversations, and when you see a commercial broker go like this and have you scan their phone to look at their LinkedIn or what have you, it's, this has been the industry for passing paper, business cards. And seeing that, I was like, I was in shock. And with respect to fractionalized ownership, or kind of redistribution of ownership via different funding vehicles for properties, so people can obtain liquidity. So traditionally, real estate has been very illiquid. You put money in, you have to sell the asset to get any money out. So what's happening with respect to what we're seeing on the commercial side as well with the technology is having this fractional ownership. And sure, it could be on a token, or it could be just a share of real estate, but why can't I own a piece of the building that 1909 is at, and then sell that to Nikki, or sell that to Ryan, or so it's, with all this new transparency and technologies coming about, you see, I think what the biggest kind of value add to the industry will be is that liquidity of real estate going forward.
I just want to piggyback on that. Totally agree with Grant said, the liquidity of real estate, and there's been studies on this. And we actually, Ryan Beckett was on a panel about a little over about a year and a half ago. It's estimated if you can bring liquidity to real estate, the value of real estate will almost double. You know, it's the barrier for entry, and just the people able to hold real estate, the ability that investors, most investors can't have that time. So being able to have that liquidity would be huge. Imagine too, people from all over the world from their phone could invest in United States real estate for as little as a couple $100. So that would be a big game changer.
Yeah, that's huge. And Ryan, too, I want to stay with you for a moment. So when we're talking about the current residential real estate industry, can you tell us a little bit about like, what are you seeing in the housing market? How is your startup disrupting that industry? Tell us a little bit about like what you're personally working on right now.
Yeah, no, I just did I've actually been working on a blog on this here yesterday. I'm seeing just this continuing of people wanting the most up-to-date information and transparency, because they're seeing the market change so quick. So any type of little edge they can get can make a huge difference. So that's what I'm seeing. I mean, people from last year, the real estate market in Miami, here, and I'm looking at the blog, it's typed up here, went up 31% for single family homes and 25% for condos. So you're talking a big difference, if having just any kind of little edge or little piece of information could potentially save you tens of thousands of dollars, so that's what I see as a big difference right now.
And Ryan, explain to us a little bit more about RealTrade. Like what is RealTrade doing within the industry? How is it helping, I guess, both sides?
Yeah, so the big one that actually where everybody wins is we allow the listing agent to own their own data on RealTrade, so they actually own their listings. We're not selling leads like Zillow where buyers and sellers are sold to the highest bidder to mortgage companies and other agents. So if you allow the agent to own their listing, they can add additional information to their listing that they can't get anywhere else. So buyers and sellers now are getting better information on RealTrade directly from the source. So that little bit of information, hey, we've had multiple showings today, expect an offer anytime soon. Imagine having that information that you're not getting somewhere else. Like, hey, we better look at this today. Now we have an opportunity. You might not miss out on a piece of property because you are getting that information for instant.
Awesome, exactly. Yeah. And I think a common theme I'm hearing too from all of you is just the amount of data that's out there is so much more than it used to be. And that now the home buyers are becoming smarter because we've got more data. And so we're just these companies are having to change the way the industry is right now and making sure that it's positive for everybody on both sides. That's what I'm hearing from all three of you. I guess I would have a really similar question that I just gave Poole, but to you, Grant, is can you talk a little bit about the commercial real estate and what are you doing with your company? How are you disrupting the industry?
Absolutely. So yeah, tons of data. So we actually have over 40 million properties in our system. And what we're doing is we're bolting on multiple data sets to essentially triangulate missing value opportunities for investors. So essentially what we're doing is we're leveling the playing field in terms of accessibility. So compared to other softwares in our space, some of these technology companies are thousands of dollars per month. And if you wanted to get the data, underwrite the property, and utilize some type of reporting in CMS, you're talking about thousands. So that keeps a lot of people out of the industry. So there's that with respect to the pricing, but then there's also the customer journey. Most mom and pop shops or individuals coming into this industry, being able to put together a one of the major difference between residential and commercial is the amount of financial analysis that needs to go in to the equation. So there's a huge educational gap that you find on the lower middle markets. And what we're doing is we're essentially making this a step-by-step flow where the user's guided every step of the way to be able to come up with a sound investment decision. And between the flow and the data that we're bringing on, we're able to essentially take anybody that has very, very limited knowledge on the financial analysis side, but bring them through because you have so much live market data that we're integrating into the platform. So we see this as a huge, huge opportunity to open up a market that, surely you have the lower middle market, but then all the individuals that have never really considered commercial real estate because they don't know what it is. So there's that educational journey as well.
Perfect. Thank you. And I'm going to switch the conversation slightly. I'm going to go to you, Beckett, but I was actually just personally asked this the other day and I didn't know the answer. So somebody had asked me, so with technology, you were talking about now doing a lot of these like virtual tours and how technology is being used much more than it used to be before. I mean, you guys were even mentioning like flipping through papers of books. And so I guess the question that was asked of me was, how now, because we're having a lot of people that are buying, homes in Florida and not stepping foot in Florida. So what does an investor, a home buyer, whoever it is that's doing it virtually, what are some of the things that they're looking for? Because like somebody asked me the other day, how the heck do you buy a home without seeing the home in person? So what do people look for? Like what information is given to them? Or is it literally just the virtual video? And I was like, I don't know, but I have this panel coming up, so I'll ask.
So the honest answer for residential is a realtor is going to give, if they're good, the best information to provide value, but to sell the property. I mean, that most realtors don't get paid by the hour. They're doing what they need to do to provide value and being morally and ethically, hopefully, usually all the time. But they're going to do what's best to sell the property and protect their client often as well. And that's the honest, candid answer. So the information that's going to try to be put forward on a property, there's a sales hat that's going to go on. So it's like, hey, we're on the golf course, there's a membership here, the lot line, things like that. So, a realtor will feed the information. I believe that giving information as a realtor has become less important. It's what you do with that information, because there's almost too much information. It's like when you go to a restaurant, there's Cheesecake Factory, you have paralysis by analysis because you have way too many options. So as a realtor, a lot of the value proposition has gone away from providing the data and more for preventing them from making a mistake, because a lot of real estate transactions on the residential side is not an often thing. It could be a few times in their life. It's their largest investment oftentimes. So the realtor has to really step out. The other admittance is that as a real estate broker and owner, my customer is the realtor. It's not the buyer or seller. The realtor is who pays me. And the industry has become so competitive that you're getting 100% splits with the house nowadays. So there's literally razor thin margins for a lot of residential brokerages. So much so that they've decided, a lot of them that are offering 100% splits, to monetize from other revenue streams. So they don't even monetize on the brokerage. They use that as a loss leader, monetize on title and mortgage. So there's a lot of shifts, a lot of people, a lot of companies with a lot of resources and human capital and actual capital have been trying to do this. Compass just had an IPO. They started out as an AI company for rentals in New York City. They became more and more looking like a traditional brokerage over time. So it's going to be really interesting. I always caution people, including the real estate agents that work with me, and that is, don't change your entire business because of what hopefully was a short-term thing, the pandemic. I hear, when we were in the height of COVID, New York City's done. New York City's over. And well, obviously you've never been in New York City, and throughout history, New York City's been written off. I'm like, oh, well, office space is dead. Why would anyone need an office? Man, and people and smart people that I'm close with and I look up to their opinion, they really and truly honestly believe it. Now, I don't believe it's going to go exactly how it is, definitely not. But in New York City, I tell you what, the real estate market is back at it. It's New York City. So being in real estate, I understand the importance of collaboration. One of the reasons why Ryan, Poole, and I really believing in tech, don't just sit at home and work, is because the collaboration that we get in a co-working space like 1909, I can tell you from experience, I waited for a little bit to join it because I was like, why would I have another expense? I'm out in the field, meeting with agents, meeting with customers. As soon as I got my membership at 1909, man, my productivity went up. Not to mention my morale and just being able to bounce ideas off of. So I would say, be smart, measure twice, cut once, and don't make a decision, because hopefully COVID's not going to be a perpetual thing, and pandemics, sure, they happen every 100 years, and hopefully that's not a thing, but don't make a total change in your business just because of something that was hopefully short term.
Very good. Yeah, some great points in there. And for anybody that that's listening that doesn't know what 1909 is, 1909 is actually a co-working space in downtown West Palm and also has an accelerator program. So really great community attached to that group as well. So thank you for that, Beckett. I want to turn the next question to you, Ryan Poole. So we've been talking a lot about in this conversation the adoption of new technologies and that being skyrocketed during the pandemic, right? So virtual tours, I don't know, data-driven decisions by purchasers or investors, remote property, either management or like even the showings. So there's a bunch of different ways that the technology is being used, but I don't think we've talked a lot about yet the technology adoption within the home. So I know a common one is like Alexa, right? Or like other digital home assistants. Can you talk about or give examples of like, what are some of the other ways within a residential home or IoT devices, or again, Internet of Things for anybody that doesn't know the acronym, but what are some of these new technologies that are being used within the home?
Yeah, no, that's great. There's, it's you see so much changing so quickly, obviously with technology in the industry, and then obviously inside the home. I think obviously you can see what Nest has done. You remember when that first came out, it was such a big game changer, is being able to change the temperature of your home from anywhere that you are, which is big. And of course now with Alexa and all these other smart pods that people are putting in their home where they can basically speak and order their food. I see that a lot of changing. I see a big thing for tech as well. With the home, for instance, what Tesla's doing, with the solar panels, actually you can use on the top of your roof. They're almost getting a lot less expensive. So your costs for your home are going to go down, and obviously your efficiencies and being able to connect, with your environment are going to change immensely as well.
Yeah, the Nest is a huge one. My husband loves his. He's an AC, so he's already got that connected to his cell phone. Grant, similar question for you. I mean, are you seeing commercial, either office spaces or commercial buildings implementing more technology inside the building as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So if it's for safety and kind of tracking, depending on COVID protocols or fire hazards, things of that nature, you have a lot of like IoT devices that track that. You also have a lot of like office campuses, especially for some of these larger corporates that are implementing solar power and ensuring that these buildings are the most efficient possible, because not just for their own sake, but a lot more for the environment as well. Mm-hmm. So they're looking at this as, if Apple has 2 large campuses or Amazon, things of that nature, what does their global footprint kind of leave? Mm-hmm. And obviously, as people are a lot more environmentally conscious, making sure that you're a zero emission company is in the forefront of these companies' kind of protocol. So a lot of the energy cost savings, things of that nature, are definitely important, especially on the office side.
That's a really good point, actually, that you brought up too, that I didn't even think of, because technology definitely can make us more efficient and saving on energy and all of that as well. And I didn't even think of that side, but there's companies like Sustainabase also, connected to 1909 that are doing just that. So yeah, that's a really good point too, Grant, that I didn't even think of. So I wanted to actually go back to, I think Beckett, you had brought this up early in the conversation, but just the word cryptocurrency. I think that it is out there everywhere, and we've talked about different forms of funding and ownership. So we recently have started seeing in the news like certain cities. I mean, obviously Miami is one of them that's very cryptocurrency forward thinking. Countries themselves, like El Salvador, just adopted Bitcoin as like an actual legal tender. And then I think it was June, July of this past summer that I saw a Miami Beach like penthouse or condo. I think it was the most expensive property that had been purchased. It was like, I don't know, 20 million or 22 million, something like that, that was purchased with Bitcoin. So can you talk a little bit, Beckett, about like give us some insight, predictions, maybe, like, where do you see this going with cryptocurrency, and should people worry? In your opinion, do you think it's legitimate? Like, can you give us a little bit of insight there?
Sure. Well, so my firm name is BitRealty, and I've trademarked that in multiple countries. So I'm obviously both with properties. Cryptocurrency is here to stay. Analogy I give, and I'm probably dating myself, a lot of people may remember or have read about .com era. .com has stayed. There was a lot of ones that weren't successful. They just tried to add .com to bump their valuation. So just because there's certain things you can see that aren't good with cryptocurrency, you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak, and not pay attention to the really exciting things that's going on with cryptocurrency. Bitcoin, I accept it for properties. There's companies out there and title companies that will do the conversion. So it sounds a lot sexier than it is, quite frankly, because it's just like if I had a client that wanted to buy the property and he's from Europe and most of his capital is in euros. It's just a conversion. So there's a company ironically called BitPay that takes a point on the conversion and they convert it in escrow right away. So there's been a lot of new wealth, significant wealth that has been made, which is always the case in any emerging market that gets legs like cryptocurrency has. So you have a lot of people, a lot of young people that started out with a little bit of money invested in crypto and that have now significant amount of money. So say you have a young guy invested in Bitcoin early and now he has 20 to 50 million. This happens in markets like Miami, LA, New York, international buyers. It's kind of like when you're in Vegas in a way. If you're up, you're like, man, I'm going to take some money off the table. Well, what better place to do that than the real estate asset class? So I believe that's one of the reasons why you're seeing a lot of more and more transactions happen in cryptocurrency. Most of the people in my experience, they're in cryptocurrency because they believe in it long term, in spite of the volatility in a relatively new asset class. So they usually, in my experience, don't want to liquidate it all. There's a famous story called the Bitcoin pizza guy. I think what he bought pizza in early days is now worth close to, Poole can correct me, it's anywhere from 250 million to $1 billion. It's a lot of money that he spent. So you do have a little resistance if someone's ironically bullish on the space with Bitcoin about wanting to buy into another asset class if they believe it to continue to be going up. But the other thing, I'll finish with this. Our local boards, it's part of the frustration that I have and Ryan Poole has, they're not bleeding edge in terms of technology. We're always trying to, as realtors and brokers, trying to prod them along. The local real estate board in Palm Beach has now added, and this probably happened, I think it was like a year and a half ago, Bitcoin as an option when I input a listing or any realtor puts a listing. So even though I'm bullish in it, I have my echo chamber, but when you start to see other things and I start to see, an older, wealthy, non-tech forward Palm Beach friend and client in his late 60s who used to warn me about getting into cryptocurrency, now wants me to go have lunch with them and teach him about it, you can see a really big paradigm shift there. And I think it's important to watch those telltale signals. And I think it's fruitful if you do.
That's huge. I actually didn't even know that. So thank you for educating me on that too with Palm Beach County. I had no idea. And Poole, do you have anything to add there? Because I know you're probably seeing more of this as well, right?
Yeah, no, I'm as with Beckett, very bullish on crypto and decentralized systems, operating systems. Of course, you have Bitcoin, which is a currency, and then you have Ethereum, which is like an operating system, that can operate tokenizations for other projects. They're doing NFT tokens. So it's exciting. It's a huge disruption. And, that's something that I really, let me just touch on this quickly here, is something that I saw as the biggest disruption in the space. And I studied a lot of blockchain projects and cryptocurrencies, was this decentralization and community ownership, where basically a network can own the network that it's securing and it gets rewarded back from the network that it secures. That to me was really the big revolution, and something that I saw is, wow, this thing's not going away. Once I understood that this network can grow, and it's rewarding itself the bigger it grows. Wow, that was incredible for me. So that was something that I was very excited about, and I've tried to implement it in my own company. So.
That's perfect. Yeah, and I guess just so, because I know we've got all three of you here kind of cross on different lines, whether it's residential or commercial. I mean, so I guess this question is for all three of you, whoever would like to answer, but are you seeing the adoption of cryptocurrency, especially Bitcoin, more on the residential side, the commercial side? Is it pretty even? I mean, do you see one side or another being more kind of scared of the technology than the other?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's different landlords, in California, for example, that are taking Bitcoin, and in New York as well. I'm probably not as bullish on crypto, just because I like the tangibleness of real estate, and various like operating companies. I love being able to secure a token with real estate. I think I'm pro that for sure. But in terms of a currency, the amount of volatility that we've seen, it's still very new for a lot of people that I talk to, and some people stay away from it entirely. But in terms of the technology of an NFT and kind of being able to transact, I don't see anything wrong with that. It's just kind of the speculative nature of the currency itself. But in terms of the acceptance of payment, like Brian Beckett was saying, if you have an easy way to convert it from Bitcoin to cash in a short amount of time, I don't think a lot of landlords would be sitting on Bitcoins. They have to free that up with cash. So if they know that they can turn it around in a day or so with a 1% fee, there's limited risk on that end. So that was, I guess, my piece, but yeah.
Yeah, and actually, one question I had there, because you had brought up Ryan Poole, blockchain. So I know we've had some panel discussions on blockchain technologies in the past as well, but for anybody that may not know what that is, can you explain that a little bit? Just blockchain, maybe how that would help people that maybe are a little bit wary of cryptocurrency?
Yeah, I mean, blockchain in its simplest form, all it is a ledger. It's a ledger that's keeping track of transactions. But like I kind of touched on earlier, the big thing about this ledger, it's being kept and secured through a distributed network that no one entity owns. So it's, you can mine Bitcoin and run that ledger. Same with Ethereum and all these other decentralized systems. So, and it's actually the most secure way now that we've had that's, to this point that we can had to make a transaction where everybody agrees, the whole world agrees that you own that transaction happen, that you own that digital asset. And it's pretty exciting. And it's not just a currency, this like I said, that we touch on, the tokenization of real estate. We now have a way that the whole world can agree that you own that piece of fractionalized ownership of real estate. The whole world can see that you have it in your wallet, and it can transact from one person to another person very easily. Another big with blockchain, that application obviously is with these NFT tokens, which is a one-of-a-kind token that there's no other one like it in the world. And it's, again, recorded on the blockchain in a distributed network that the whole world can see with 100% transparency. It's really incredible. And, no one, once you have that token, right, and it's secured on the blockchain, no one can ever take it away from you. You have a private keys that you have that no one can take it away from you. So there's no government that can come along and take that asset away from you. Very, very powerful, in my opinion, and revolutionary.
Very cool. So I know we've got, because I'm watching the time, got about 5 minutes left. So I'm going to give you guys the chance to kind of do your sales job here, right? So my question to you is, the topic of today is South Florida's real estate being on fire. So we're talking about how the real estate industry is just continually going up and up and up. I mean, we're talking about people purchasing properties, with Bitcoin. We're talking about, how the property rates have been going so much higher. A ton of people are moving here. I mean, just there's so much change in the industry. So For the people that are, as we know, we've got a ton of people that are moving from other areas of the country to Florida. For the people that are right on the line and are like, okay, I'm really interested. I've been looking in Florida, but I'm not sure yet. Can each of you give me just, I guess, some closing words and kind of close us out with like, just sell us, why South Florida? Why should somebody come here? What are some of the major benefits to living in South Florida?
I guess I'll take a stab at that. I've been doing it for 16 years. So we only have a handful of states that do no state income tax. It's one of the reasons Miami Heat can recruit well. One of the reasons why companies can recruit well. It's one of the reasons why finance firms are coming down here. No state income tax is huge. And a lot of things, including buying a home. That's one of the reasons why there's FHA, VA mortgages from the government. That's why you can write off the interest on your amortization schedule. The government tries to make policies that cause consumer behavior that's good for everyone, including home ownership. Having no state income tax is a huge thing. I bring it up all the time. Growing up in South Florida since the early 80s, like I said, you used to be really behind in public transit systems, infrastructure, and companies like to see that. They need to see that. And I would go to Europe and New York City and just be enamored about being able to hop in the city on a subway and go back and forth, go for a business lunch, do whatever I want. Now we have a private company like Brightline that has brought us from being one of the worst states with public transit and being so car-centric to arguably being one of the best. I took the Excella train yesterday. Brightline's way better than the Excella train. Goes faster, it's cleaner, it's nicer. Being up here, I'm struck with the analogy. Palm Beach, in my opinion, is becoming kind of a Greenwich, Connecticut, and Miami's becoming more of a New York City. And ironically, the train ride is more or less the same. We're almost have the Orlando sector done as well. We are able to not charge state income tax largely because we make our money elsewhere on consumption, property tax, on tourism. So anything you do to support those revenue streams, building out the Port of Miami for cruise ships, infrastructure like the Brightline, public transit, that is amazing. And then don't let me forget quality of life. I mean, the cliche is that we live where people vacation, my girlfriend's like, well, why don't we go here on vacation? I'm like, why would we go to another beach location when we have people flying from all over the world here? Okay, you want to go ski somewhere for a week or go experience some culture or Broadway? I understand that. But we live in the best place. Nowhere in the world, for the most part, can you escape natural disasters. But at least when you have a hurricane, you have plenty of time to plan for it, protect your assets. Construction's getting more and more resiliency, infrastructure is getting more and more resiliency. So it's just a robust place to live. You got a ton of incentives, both financially, commerce-wise, personally, quality of life. And even though our real estate market's on fire, still a lot more affordable than a lot of other places that are a lot less desirable to live. So I think you just check it out and just make this on your own once you experience it.
Mic drop, Beckett. That's all I got to say.
There you go.
I don't know, Grant, Poole, do you have anything to add to that?
Becket covered a lot of the points for sure. So yeah, Brightline infrastructure and kind of this new South Florida. I think people that come here are going to see this tremendous change in the mindset here. All the events that we're going to, it seems like, with the real estate, usually South Florida, it's boom bust, right? And this is a fundamental change in the quality of companies that are coming here. People are really kind of, because of COVID as well, seeing that quality of life aspect as being a much bigger factor from some of these other cities. And if you're part of this kind of new movement in South Florida, like I was saying, like Goldman, all these hedge funds, and a lot of more kind of companies that would be in San Fran or New York and Chicago that are moving here, that's all supporting this real estate market. So these high-paying jobs and kind of this new South Florida that's evolving, I think it's going to be really, really exciting to see how the next 5-10 years kind of plays out, as we see a lot more companies moving here. So So yeah, and everything else Beckett said.
Right. Well, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, let me put a bow on this. I think that our biggest selling factor here in South Florida is the quality of life. I mean, I went for a 20-mile bike ride this morning at the sunrise through Palm Beach Island, and looked at the beach and the sunrise and multi-million-dollar homes, and then have the ability to jump on a boat and be in the Bahamas in less than 2 hours and dive our beautiful crystal clear waters. And people don't realize there's hundreds of thousands of acres of natural area here in Palm Beach County that are great for hiking and nature trails and beautiful nature as well. So, and then of course we have all this beautiful aspects of the city life now, and culture, the Kravitz Center, the Brightline, and all these connections. And I think to not be underplayed is the community aspect of South Florida. We have something special that I don't see in a lot of different areas, and I've talked to a lot of people in tech and from all over the country, and we have some great community here in South Florida, and we really want to make this place grow, because we love living here. We don't want to leave. We want to make industries and these companies succeed because we like living here. So I think that's our biggest ace in the hole with South Florida, and why our real estate market's going to continue to grow, and our economy and our companies.
Yeah, I think that's actually huge what you mentioned too, that I don't think we brought up on the call at all yet, but was just that I think we have one of the most diverse places to live in the country. And I think that is a huge benefit that we have here right in our backyard. And another one that I picked up, actually, Beckett, you had said about natural disasters. I never even thought of that because it's very true that the only thing I think that people always say, oh, but you guys have hurricanes. But yeah, we always know they're coming ahead of time. I mean, and me being a born and raised South Floridian, I mean, unless you say category 5, I don't even get scared. I'm like, all right, well, it's just another hurricane. But I guess people, coming from the outside in, that might be fearful, but that was a good point too. So yeah, this has been a great conversation. I wanted to say thank you to all of you, both Ryans, Grant, of course, Beth, thank you for the interpretation as well, and South Florida Business Journal for being our sponsor this morning. And thank you to everybody that woke up bright and early with us to listen into the conversation, but hopefully everybody has a wonderful day today.
Awesome. Thank you guys
Thanks,
so much.
everybody.
Thank you for
Thank you,
hosting.
everyone.
Thank you,
course.
Nikki. Thank you, Nikki.
Of course.
Appreciate it. All right, guys. Bye.
Have a great day.
Yep. Bye.